The video opens like the quiet before a storm, that haunting stillness when the air feels heavy with something unspoken. The narrator reminds us that Nostradamus's ancient verses, once dismissed as poetic exaggerations, now echo eerily through the fabric of our modern world. Crimson sunsets stretch unnaturally long across the horizon, volcanic ash drifts over continents like a gray veil, and somewhere deep beneath the surface, the earth stirs as if awakening from a long slumber. These aren't coincidences, the voice implies. They are messages. Centuries ago, Nostradamus wrote of a season of red ash, a time when the heavens would weep embers and the ground would burn in silence. To his readers, it sounded like a riddle about war or divine wrath. Yet, today, as scientists observe skies tinted blood red from volcanic dust and wildfires, his imagery feels unsettlingly literal. The prophecy seems to speak directly to our age, one defined by planetary imbalance, burning forests, and a growing sense that humanity has crossed an invisible threshold. In the language of prophecy, red ash becomes more than a natural event. It is a symbol of reckoning. The color red marks both fire and warning, destruction and rebirth. The ash signifies the residue of transformation, the moment after the old world crumbles and before the new one rises. In this light, Nostradamus's vision could be seen not merely as doom, but as a spiritual mirror, nature reflecting back humanity's excess, its blindness, its hunger for power. The video opens like the quiet before a storm, that haunting stillness when the air feels heavy with something unspoken. The narrator reminds us that Nostradamus's ancient verses, once dismissed as poetic exaggerations, now echo eerily through the fabric of our modern world. Crimson sunsets stretch unnaturally long across the horizon, volcanic ash drifts over continents like a gray veil, and somewhere deep beneath the surface, the earth stirs as if awakening from a long slumber. These aren't coincidences, the voice implies. They are messages. Centuries ago, Nostradamus wrote of a season of red ash, a time when the heavens would weep embers and the ground would burn in silence. To his readers, it sounded like a riddle about war or divine wrath. Yet, today, as scientists observe skies tinted blood red from volcanic dust and wildfires, his imagery feels unsettlingly literal. The prophecy seems to speak directly to our age, one defined by planetary imbalance, burning forests, and a growing sense that humanity has crossed an invisible threshold. In the language of prophecy, red ash becomes more than a natural event. It is a symbol of reckoning. The color red marks both fire and warning, destruction and rebirth. The ash signifies the residue of transformation, the moment after the old world crumbles and before the new one rises. In this light, Nostradamus's vision could be seen not merely as doom, but as a spiritual mirror, nature reflecting back humanity's excess, its blindness, its hunger for power. In 2025, scientists have begun to detect vast layers of reddish ash drifting through the atmosphere, stretching across thousands of kilometers. These deposits trace an uncanny pattern, one that aligns with Nostradamus's so-called triangle of flame, connecting regions across Europe, Asia, and the Americas. Volcanic eruptions in Italy, Indonesia, and South America have spewed crimson dust so high that satellites now record its global circulation. The sky burns not with war, but with nature's own message, the red veil of the earth rising to meet the sun. The phrase, "black sun in mourning," once seemed purely metaphorical, perhaps a symbol of grief or death. But now it could describe a literal phenomenon. Sunlight dimmed by atmospheric ash, solar rays filtered through particles that paint the world in blood-red haze. Across continents, People have reported sunsets that refuse to fade, twilight skies that glow for hours in unnatural hues. To ancient eyes, such omens would have spoken of judgment. To modern ones, they speak of climate collapse, a planetary warning written not in stars, but in smoke. And then there is the most cryptic line: rivers running in reverse. At first glance, it reads like impossible imagery. Yet viewed through the lens of our time, it becomes strikingly prophetic. Climate scientists now observe polar ice melting at unprecedented rates, altering oceanic currents and reversing flow patterns in major river systems. Floods surge upstream, estuaries collapse, and coastlines reshape themselves in ways unseen in human history. The rivers quite literally turn against their course. It is as though Nostradamus saw the balance of the earth itself beginning to shift, water rebelling against the world that once contained it. Beneath the frozen crust of the Arctic Circle, another mystery awakens. Geothermal activity, once thought dormant, has intensified. Massive methane plumes rise from thawing permafrost, and deep seismic tremors hint at magma movement beneath Greenland's ice. Scientists now confirm that certain regions under the Arctic are warming from below, not above. This fire beneath the ice mirrors Nostradamus's eerie phrase, "the warmth from the north." For centuries, no one could understand how warmth could come from a frozen land. Until now, when the very poles begin to bleed heat. The crimson snow that falls upon these northern fields, tinted by iron dust and volcanic residue, seems to bring the prophecy to life. Photographs of blood-red glaciers have spread across scientific journals and social media alike, hauntingly beautiful and terrifying. Nostradamus's red powder upon the field has become literal, its source not from war, but from the planet's own lungs, exhaling centuries of buried fire. When viewed together, these signs form more than a chain of coincidences. They form a pattern, one that unites ancient vision with modern data. The season of red ash may not be a single catastrophe, but a cycle of purification, Earth cleansing itself through fire, air, and transformation. Nostradamus's verse, written in the language of allegory, now reads like a chronicle of environmental awakening, a reminder that prophecy and science often speak the same truth through different tongues. The red ash is not just a warning of destruction, it is the dawn of realization, a call for humanity to remember that the balance of creation can no longer be ignored. Beneath the ashes, the earth still breathes. And in its crimson sigh, Nostradamus's words live again, no longer as mystery, but as mirror. For centuries, the triangle of fire mentioned in Nostradamus's writings was shrouded in mystery, a symbol that many dismissed as metaphorical or astrological. Yet, in the modern world, this ancient vision seems to be taking shape upon the planet itself. Nostradamus described 3 great regions connected by unseen forces, where the heavens shall rain red and men shall breathe smoke. Those regions, Europe, Asia, and the Americas, form a vast triangle that now burns with both literal and symbolic fire. Across Europe, volcanoes that have slept for generations have begun to stir. Mount Etna and Stromboli, long regarded as the guardians of the Mediterranean flame, have awakened again, spewing plumes of ash that turn the sky into a scarlet haze. The winds carry that dust over the seas, darkening sunsets and reddening dawns. To the east, in Asia's Pacific Ring of Fire, the earth trembles relentlessly. From Japan's Sakurajima to Indonesia's Krakatoa, ancient volcanoes roar like voices rising from the deep, reminding humanity of the raw power hidden beneath its feet. And across the ocean, in the Americas, wildfires rage from the Amazon to California, from Chile's dry hills to to Canada's burning forests. From above, satellites capture the surreal sight. 3 continents, each burning, each breathing smoke into the same global sky. It is as if the planet itself has traced Nostradamus's triangle, a fiery geometry drawn across the map of human civilization. Each point of the triangle reflects not only environmental upheaval, but also humanity's spiritual unrest. Europe burns with social tension and energy crises. Asia faces quakes and storms that test its resilience. The Americas grapple with drought, fire, and flood, all at once. Fire becomes not just an element but a language, nature's warning written in flame and ash. As the narrator of the prophecy video suggests, 2025 may be the year when these 3 fires merge, the convergence point of natural cycles and human consequence. The season of red ash begins not as a single catastrophic event, but as a slow, synchronized awakening of the Earth's energy. Massive layers of dust and ash are already reshaping weather patterns, altering jet streams, and tinting the atmosphere in hues of crimson and gold. What ancient prophets saw as omens, scientists now recognize as feedback loops, the interconnected breath of a planet responding to centuries of imbalance. But beyond the scientific explanation lies a deeper meaning. In prophecy, fire always represents transformation, the burning away of illusion, the cleansing of the old to make way for the new. When Nostradamus spoke of the triangle of fire, he might not have been describing destruction alone, but initiation. Europe, Asia, and the Americas, the cultural and spiritual pillars of humanity, are entering a shared trial, a planetary crucible where civilizations, economies, and beliefs are tested by nature's undeniable truth. Nothing built on imbalance can endure. And yet, within this inferno, there is potential for rebirth. Just as ash enriches the soil after devastation, the red ash of this era could symbolize the seeds of renewal. The merging of the 3 fires may mark not humanity's end, but its reawakening, a chance to recognize that all regions, all people, are connected through one fragile, burning atmosphere. Nostradamus's triangle of fire may have once sounded like distant poetry. Today, it reads like a map of our time, a planetary mirror reflecting both chaos and creation. The fires that scorch the earth are also lighting the path toward awareness. The season of red ash, though born in smoke and sorrow, carries within it the spark of transformation, the moment when humanity must decide whether to perish in its own fire or to rise renewed from its embers. In Nostradamus's enigmatic verses, there is a line that chills the imagination. The sky will burn at night without flame. For centuries, interpreters debated its meaning. How could the heavens burn without fire? Was it a vision of war or something far more mysterious, an omen written in the atmosphere itself? Now, in an age when science and prophecy intertwine, that line has come alive. Red skies stretch over continents, luminous storms flicker in the upper atmosphere, and auroras shimmer where they were never meant to appear. It is as if the heavens themselves have caught fire, not with heat, but with light. Around the world, people have begun to notice the change. Sunsets deepen into shades of crimson and violet, lingering long past their time. The sky glows eerily after dusk, as if refusing to return to darkness. Scientists explain it as a mixture of volcanic ash, atmospheric dust, and solar storms interacting in the upper layers of the atmosphere. Yet, to those who still listen to prophecy, these signs echo the words of Nostradamus. The sky's red veil is no longer metaphorical. It has become visible, wrapping the planet in a strange, restless light. In one haunting quatrain, Nostradamus wrote, "When the sky glows red for 40 nights, a hidden king awakens. Some interpret this as the foretelling of a cosmic event, perhaps a massive solar flare, an asteroid passing close to Earth, or the ignition of an unseen celestial force. But others see a deeper layer within those words, the hidden king as a symbol of awakening, not in heaven, but within humanity itself. 40 nights of red could represent a period of trial when consciousness stirs under pressure, when the world's turmoil forces a collective awakening from spiritual sleep. The red glow, then, becomes not only a warning, but a summons. Nostradamus also spoke of red dust falling upon the earth, a time when the air would choke and rivers would dry. Today, we see that imagery reflected in our reality. The deserts expand, forests burn, floods and droughts arrive in the same season. The planet oscillates between extremes, unable to rest. Scientists name it climate imbalance. Nostradamus might have called it divine rebalancing, the moment when nature reclaims equilibrium by breaking the systems that defied it. The red ash, in this sense, is more than volcanic residue. It is a mirror of our collective state, the physical manifestation of moral collapse. As humanity exhausts the Earth's generosity, nature answers in kind, burning away illusion with fire and dust. Every crimson sky, every storm glowing in unnatural colors, becomes a reflection of inner turmoil, a spiritual fire rising through the atmosphere. Yet even within this chaos, Nostradamus's message carries an undertone of hope. Fire, in every tradition, purifies as much as it destroys. The season of red ash could thus mark not an ending, but a cleansing, a painful awakening that forces humanity to see what it has long ignored. The sky burning without flame becomes a revelation, illumination without annihilation, a sign that transformation can occur before collapse. The red sky may frighten us, but it also reminds us of our connection to the living world. Beneath the glowing auroras and the dust-laden sunsets lies a simple truth. We are part of the same fire that we fear. The season of red ash, then, is not just a prophecy of doom. It is the beginning of renewal. Through flame without heat, through light without destruction, the hidden king, the awakened spirit of humanity, may yet rise and turn this burning sky into the dawn of a new age. Among Nostradamus' most haunting prophecies lies the vision of two great fires that would precede the age of red ash, one born of the earth, the other forged by humanity. For centuries, readers of his cryptic quatrains pondered what these twin infernos could mean. Were they wars, natural disasters, or forces far greater, elemental and moral, rising together to test the world? In the 21st century, the prophecy feels uncannily familiar. The planet now burns from both directions, from within and from above, from nature's fury and human ambition alike. The first fire is the fire of nature, the primal flame that has always shaped our world. It erupts through volcanoes, solar flares, and deep geothermal forces awakening beneath the crust. The earth breathes through magma and lightning. Its pulse can now be felt beneath melting glaciers and trembling seas. In recent years, volcanic eruptions have darkened skies across continents, solar storms have disrupted power grids, and wildfires have scorched regions once thought safe. The planet's natural fire has returned to remind us of its dominion. It is neither cruel nor kind, simply unstoppable. The second fire, however, is of human making. It glows in the furnaces of industry, in the engines of war, in the restless circuitry of technology. It is the fire of invention, pride, and consumption, a flame we once believed we could control. But that fire has spread beyond our grasp, consuming the air, poisoning the oceans, and dimming the stars with the smoke of progress. Factories, weapons, and endless extraction now burn in silent synchrony with volcanoes and storms. What was once the spark of civilization has become the blaze of collapse. Nostradamus warned, "When the two fires blend, the breath of mankind will grow thin." The merging has already begun. The air itself testifies to it, a choking mix of ash, carbon, and smog that erases the boundary between nature's breath and man's pollution. Earth's smoke and humanity's smoke are now one and the same. The prophet's words echo not as metaphor, but as reality. Humanity gasps, not just for clean air, but for clarity of spirit. Environmental suffocation mirrors spiritual suffocation. The thin air that fills our lungs reflects the thinness of truth in a world clouded by deception and division. We live surrounded by invisible toxins, not only in the atmosphere, but in the realm of thought and media. Nostradamus's loss of breath could signify more than physical depletion. It may describe the silence that follows moral exhaustion, when truth itself can no longer breathe. The world grows hotter, and the human soul grows colder. Yet in prophecy, every fire carries dual meaning: destruction and purification, punishment and renewal. When the two fires blend, something else is born: awareness. The smoke that blinds us also reveals what we could not see before: our interdependence, our shared fragility, and our desperate need for balance. The merging of natural and human fire might therefore mark a threshold, the moment when humanity must confront the mirror of its own creation. Perhaps Nostradamus foresaw not only doom, but awakening, the instant when mankind realizes that the fire it feared was its own reflection. Nature's blaze and humanity's blaze are not enemies, but echoes of the same energy. Whether this fusion ends in collapse or transformation depends on what we choose to do in its glow. In the end, the season of red ash is not merely a time of destruction, it is the crucible of truth, when the world's twin fires test every illusion we have built. If humanity can endure that trial without suffocating, the very smoke that chokes us today may one day clear into a new dawn, the breath of a planet reborn and a spirit renewed through flame. In Nostradamus's mysterious writings, one verse stands apart for its cryptic power: the prediction of a gray empire rising during the season of red ash. To some, this phrase sounds political, a new world power emerging as others fall. To others, it represents something deeper: the dawn of a civilization that rises not through conquest, but through adaptation in the midst of collapse. As the old orders crumble beneath the weight of fire, famine, and deception, a new balance quietly begins to form in the ashes. According to the prophecy, this gray empire would emerge when the red veil covers the sun. The red veil, once seen as mere poetic imagery, has become frighteningly literal in our time. Dust clouds from volcanic eruptions, industrial smoke, and atmospheric pollution now dim the sunlight across continents. Cities awaken beneath crimson skies, and twilight descends earlier each day. Yet Nostradamus's words carry a double meaning. The red veil is not just ash in the air. It is illusion, a haze over the collective mind of humanity. The prophecy speaks as much to spiritual blindness as to physical obscurity. When the red veil covers the sun, the sleepers shall awaken. Beneath those words lies a paradox. The moment of darkness becomes the moment of awakening. In the age of red ash, as the world sinks into confusion and fear, consciousness begins to stir. The veil that blinds also reveals. Through collapse, hidden truths emerge. Humanity begins to see through the illusions that once governed it, illusions of control, progress, and separation from the natural world. What was once considered strength, dominance, consumption, endless expansion, now reveals itself as fragility. It is in this vacuum of fading empires that the gray empire rises, The color gray carries no flag, no ideology. It symbolizes neutrality, adaptability, and quiet endurance. While nations built on metal and fire crumble under the weight of their own smoke, this gray force ascends from the margins. Nostradamus may have foreseen the rise of the East, nations long underestimated, learning to survive amid scarcity, rebuilding with resilience instead of aggression. But beyond geography, the Gray Empire could also represent a spiritual civilization, a collective consciousness learning to live in harmony with the planet rather than in defiance of it. Fire, in Nostradamus's language, is not only destruction, it is transformation. The world burning in the season of red ash is not the end, but the purification before renewal. Just as forests need fire to regenerate, humanity may need this global trial to rediscover humility and interconnection. The prophecy's power lies in this dual meaning: annihilation for the old world, rebirth for the new. Out of the flames of greed and decay, something balanced, subtle, and wise, something gray, begins to emerge. This gray empire, then, is not defined by borders or armies, but by awareness. It is the civilization that learns to see through the veil, to act without excess, to restore what has been burned. While old powers built their strength on industry and conquest, this new force may build its strength on silence, sustainability, and unity. It rises quietly, not in triumph, but in understanding. Nostradamus's prophecy reminds us that transformation through fire is not annihilation, but renewal. The red veil that once blinded humanity becomes the very filter that awakens its vision. When the sky burns and the old empires fall, the gray dawn begins. Not a victory of one over another, but the rebirth of balance itself. The season of red ash may mark the twilight of the old world, but it also carries the light of a new beginning, one born not from power, but from wisdom rising in the smoke. The Gray Empire, in the end, may be nothing less than humanity itself, finally awakened, finally whole. In the final lines of his visions, Nostradamus offered something unexpected, not terror, but hope. After pages of turmoil, fire, and red skies, he wrote a single haunting sentence: "The red will fade, and the blue shall return." Simple, almost fragile, yet profoundly symbolic. For centuries, interpreters puzzled over these words. What did the blue represent? Was it the sky clearing after catastrophe, or something deeper, a return of balance after humanity's long descent into chaos? To understand this prophecy, we must look at the cycle Nostradamus described throughout his quatrains. The season of red ash was never meant to last forever. It was the crucible, the burning phase in which both the earth and the human soul are tested, stripped, and purified. Red is the color of destruction, of blood and fire, but also of transformation, the heat that forges something new. The blue, by contrast, represents peace, truth, and renewal. It is the color of clarity after confusion, the sky after the storm, the spirit reborn from trial. When Nostradamus wrote of the red fading into blue, he was describing not just a physical change in the world, but a spiritual shift within humanity. After an age ruled by aggression, greed, and deception, the blue era would emerge, calmer, wiser, and more in tune with the rhythms of nature. Just as fire consumes the old forest to make way for new life, the red ash of our age may be clearing the path for a more conscious civilization. Modern interpreters have linked this vision to global phenomena we see today: the exhaustion of systems built on exploitation, the collapse of false stability, and the collective awakening of people searching for truth. The blue may symbolize the earth healing, cleaner skies after pollution, restored oceans, a return to harmony with the environment. But it may also signify something even greater: the awakening of spiritual consciousness across humanity, the rediscovery of empathy and meaning in a world that had nearly forgotten both. The red ash, then, is not punishment. It is initiation. It burns away illusion so that clarity can return. In every myth and spiritual tradition, light emerges after darkness. Rebirth follows fire. Nostradamus's closing image carries that same eternal rhythm, destruction as prelude to awakening. His words are not warnings of doom, but invitations to transformation. The flames are not meant to consume us. They are meant to reveal who we truly are when everything superficial is stripped away. The red will fade, and the blue shall return. That phrase could describe the cleansing of the planet, but also the healing of the human heart. When the smoke clears, the world will see itself with new eyes, no longer divided by illusion, but united by necessity, by shared survival, by rediscovered purpose. The blue that returns is not the old peace, but a deeper one, born from understanding, not ignorance. The narrator of the prophecy reminds us that this vision might already be unfolding. The world's crises, the fires, the storms, the shifting consciousness, are not signs of ending, but of transition. Humanity stands within the crucible, and the outcome depends on how we respond. Fear keeps us in the red. Awareness brings us to the blue. Thus, Nostradamus's final message is not of despair, but of renewal. The season of red ash, terrifying as it seems, is only a passage. The world burns so that it can breathe again. The skies bleed so that they may